Your spirit may fly away, and your body may be broken. Your lips, they may not speak, for some things cannot be spoken. But time will not forget about the price you had to pay for the greed of men who did not respect the woman, the Congolese woman, oh the woman. They hurt your body and your mind, and they take away your land. They take away your jobs, put guns in your enemies' hands. How many more must die before the whole world pays for the telling of the lies, the killings and the rape of the woman, the Congolese woman? You dry your eyes and you keep it going. Pull yourself up with your own strong hand, strong and ever reaching for the sky that is a woman. Your spirit may fly away, and your body may be broken. Your lips, they may not speak, for some things cannot be spoken. But time will not forget about the price you had to pay for the greed of men who did not respect the woman, oh the Congolese woman, the woman, oh the woman.
Hello and welcome to HMG Network, broadcasting live from the Greater Washington, D.C. Metropolitan. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you for joining us for another Power Pack message on our series on pursuit of justice. In our conversation for today, we are going to talk about the prospect for peace in Central Africa. Young people around the world are working to shape the future of the Great Lakes region of Africa, taking on repressive regimes responsible for millions of deaths in Central Africa. In our today's conversation, we have a great panelist who are going to give you so much information, insightful, and I hope that it's going to be helpful and educational at the same time. And today's moderator, none other than our brother, Claude Gatebuke, who is the Executive Director for the African Great Lakes Action Network. Claude Gatebuke, can you hear us, brother?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing this morning, Freeman?
I am well, my brother. Please take it away.
Thank you. I'm very excited for this conversation. Good morning and good evening and good night, wherever you are around the world following this broadcast. And to begin this show, as for some of you or many of you who may have followed, if you are watching at home, invite your neighbor to come and watch with you. And if you're watching on social media, whether on Facebook or YouTube, please take the link, share it with your friends, because this is an important conversation. It's a powerful conversation, and please share this message. And so today, for the show today, my name is Claude Katibuke, as many of you are familiar with, and we are talking about Genocost. We're talking about the prospects for peace. We're talking about the role of young people in the Great Lakes region of Africa, especially in the Congo, a country with so much potential, yet the people in the country are really, really suffering at the hands of, because of a war of invasion that started in 1996 and is still going on today. And I personally am also a survivor of the atrocities of the in the Great Lakes region, starting with the war and the genocide in Rwanda. I once fled to the Congo, a place that was actually really safe. The people were very friendly. The Congolese people gave us whatever they had, water, food, and in some cases, they even give land to people. But what happened 2 years after I fled to the Congo in 1994, after the genocide in Rwanda? The Congo was invaded by Rwanda and Uganda. And since that time, children who were born at that time today have gone through, and many have not, but would have gone through primary school. They would have gone to secondary school or high school. They would have graduated from college. Some or many would have gotten married and probably had kids by now, but they have been living in war and conflict since that time. And it's important not only for me to share my gratitude with the Congolese people, but also to highlight the stories of resilience of the Congolese people and the prospect of peace coming from the people, because we, the people, are the ones who are going to make our region and the area and the continent of Africa safe and good for everybody to live in. And for today's show, I want to let you know how it's gonna run. My co-host, Delphine Yandamuto, is gonna get our guests going, introduce our guests. Then we will speak to both of our guests. Then after that, we will take comments and questions from the audience. So please do send your questions, do send your comments so that we can interact with you, give us your thoughts, and we look forward to your involvement. And before I turn it over to my co-host, I wanted to recognize our sponsors for this event. First, I want to thank the Genocost campaign that is raising awareness on the genocide taking place in the Congo for this many years, and those who are involved, including our two guests. Also, our sponsors include Friends of the Congo, Black Star News, HMG Network, which is where we are today, and AGLAN, the African Great Lakes Action Network. Without further ado, I would like to introduce my fabulous co-host, Delphine Yandamuto, so she can get us going and get our guests going for this broadcast. Delphine, welcome. Good evening, good morning. We are all scattered around the world, so I think it's the middle of the night for you.
Thank you very much, Claude. It is a pleasure to be here. So my name is Delphine Yandamuto. I'm happy, I'm glad that I'm here. And as Claude said, this, Congo, this country is, I guess we share the story that myself as well, when I was a child, I was a refugee in Congo, and they all come to me, and, we can talk about their hospitality a lot, and also I share the knowledge or the experiences that happened during that war or that invasion. So it is a great pleasure to be here with our guest that I'll introduce in a minute, to be talking about this topic that's so dear to us. So today, I guess for some people who are not very aware of Congo, so it is the second largest country on the continent of Africa, with the potential not only to feed the whole continent of Africa, but also has the ability to provide electricity to the whole continent of Africa. It is the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources, with more than 24 trillion US dollars in natural resources. Yet The people of the Congo are some of the poorest in the world, facing contact war, atrocities, displacement, and genocide fueled by various players seeking the natural resources in Congo. The whole world converges on Congo in hopes to getting a piece of Congo. As Claude was saying, everyone is trying, to get a piece of Congo, but the people are the ones who are suffering in the process. So this October marks 25 years since the invasion of the Congo by Rwanda and Uganda, setting off a war that's taken more than 6 million lives, displaced millions of people, and wiped out some whole villages. Thousands of women have been raped since this invasion by armed men using rape as a weapon of war. While this war has produced war crimes, crimes against humanity, mass rapes, and genocide, the perpetrators remain at large. It is for this reason that Congolese people, along with people of conscience and goodwill around the world, have taken up the challenge to seek justice for Congolese. It treats survivors of rapes and has won the Nobel Prize. We're talking about Dr. Mukwege, who has been at the forefront of calling for justice for Congolese people, using recommendations found in the UN mapping exercise report of October 2010. We will talk more about the report during this broadcast. And also, just as Claude said before, our guests today are among the people who have decided to take a stand and join the global movement to seek justice for the Congolese people. So our guests today are Francine Mukwaya Sodi, a human rights activist from Congo, a public speaker who's passionate about health and equality as a tool for development. She believes that when people are healthy, there is an abundance of human resources, while when there is equality, there is absence of less poverty. She has a degree in psychology and counseling, master in public health, and also we are honored to host the co-founder of Genocost, a campaign to raise awareness about genocide taking place in Congo, and that's Mr. Sylvestre Middle Oslai. He is the spokesperson for the Congolese Action Youth Platform. Without further ado, I would like to welcome both Francine and Sylvestre. Welcome, Francine.
Well, thank you for having me today. Thank you.
Francine, can you introduce yourself first? Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. My name, as already said, my name is Francine Mukwaya Sodi. I was born in Congo. I'm practically Congolese person. I've been an activist for 10 years now, and I'm into health. I'm passionate about health, and I've been raising awareness regarding the issue that are going on in Congo for more than 23 years. So people can know what's going on in Congo. So people can be able to know that the phone we're using, the people have to die for all of us to get a phone. So yeah, I campaign and raise awareness, fundraising for victims of rape. I actually happen to be working with they call it committee of support of Dr. Mukwege. Basically, is in diaspora. I'm part of the member of that group of support Dr. Mukwege in diaspora. So. Yeah, and apart from that, I do also from time to time write articles, and if there is, I'm also not just focused on Congo, but majority of the time in Great Lake region, so analyzing things that are going on, and maybe if they invite me for any interviews, and then I can give my point of view, as an African woman. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francine, for the introduction, and it is a pleasure to host you today. And also, we are grateful for all the work you're doing. So we're going to have a good time today. If you can introduce yourself, please. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having us around, Daphne. My name is Lamido, and I am a Congolese activist based in the UK. Currently, I'm professionally a web designer, and I'm going to activism around 2011 when I joined the Congolese Action Youth Platform, which is a youth organization that started around London that raises awareness around the issue of the conflict in the DRC and the Great Lake, and from which the campaign of the Genocost was born. And I'm a spokesperson for the platform and the Genocost project, of which I'm one of the co-founder. And I spent a lot of time basically raising awareness about the issue of the genocide in the DRC and the human atrocities that are there, and most importantly, what we can do here in the West to make a difference as consumer and as citizen. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, thank you so much, Sly. I don't know if you can explain further. You just touched to it, what's Genocost, and also what made you all begin this campaign, please. Thank you.
Yes. So the Genocost itself is a campaign to raise awareness about the police. The word Genocost is a word that we have made up, which is made up of genocide and cost. And the cost in English is to refer to the financial cost or the human cost in the case of Congo of the genocide that is ongoing. And the project came about as we were trying to find ways and solutions to kind of deal with the issue of the ongoing conflict in the DRC, which is not addressed by our political elite in the DRC. And one of the lady the one that came up with the idea, decided that maybe if we could have a day where we can gather as communities, as families, to just remember and pay a minute of silence for all those people that passed away. Maybe that would be a start of something to raise awareness, not just on the outside world, but also within the Congolese community itself, where the trouble seems to be, the conflict seems to be often forgotten. And from that on, from that moment on, we decided to organize the first Genocost, which was commemoration day. And we picked the day of the 2nd of August as a starting point. Now, the 2nd of August, for those who are not familiar with it, is not the start of the Congolese War or the conflict, but it is the beginning of the Second Congolese War, which is the day in which the Rwandan troops decided to attack the regime of Kabila, both in Goma and in Kinshasa, by having air. I say point aérien in French, but I'm trying to find the technical term in English. But it's like a double offensive. And basically, that point onwards is the beginning of the current ongoing conflict, because even though officially they say that the conflict finished in 2008, to this day, there has hardly been a week where in Eastern Congo there hasn't been a massacre. Just last week alone, in the region of Kivu in the Beni, we had further people being killed by rebel groups called the ADF. So we don't really have peace in Congo. And according to our politicians back then, the situation was fine and everything was smooth, and therefore we should forget about what has happened. And what we have found is that this situation of global or collective amnesia is not unique, or should I say, is not the first in the Congo history. The same thing happened about 100 years ago under the reigns of King Leo back in Congo, in the Congo Free State. And what the Congo Free State was in Congo at the 19th century.
We are having, excuse me, Sly, we're having some microphone issues on your end. For some reason, we're having a hard time hearing you. Not sure if you can see if we can hear you again. We might.
Hello, can you?
Yes.
Yeah. Be better now.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Can you tell me where it was that I need to get back?
You were talking about the global amnesia.
You know where I was interrupted.
The global amnesia to the
yes.
suffering of the Congolese.
Yes, basically, the global and the collective amnesia to the suffering of Congolese was nothing new. We realized that the same thing happened about 100 years ago under the reign of King Leopold, who was the owner of Congo before it became a Belgian colony. And under him, about half of the Congolese population was killed for the exploitation of rubber, ivory, and gold back then. And to this day in Congo, that part of our history is not taught, has been carefully wiped out and replaced by the tale of a builder king who helped bring all the infrastructure we had, when in reality, he had to concede Congo after popular uprising forced him to sell it to Belgium as a state. And that's when Congo became a Belgian colony. So the same thing happens again today, but for different resources, for coltan and the 3T, which are used for our mobile phones, for our computers, but also for military resources such as the army, drones and rockets in the future. And it is important that the world get to know that today again, millions of people are dying in Congo. It's the deadliest conflict since World War II, and it's not making the headlines. So that's kind of the highlight of Genocost.
Thank you so much, Aslai, for that. Also for that background. It is wow. It's good to know that background, and also, as you said, indeed, it is important for the whole world to know what's going on. Going back to you, Francine, you also participate in this campaign. So, what's your reason for taking part in this campaign?
Thank you again. My reason was not just to, as a Congolese person and as someone who really believes in justice as a tool of peace and prosperity on any given country. It was so important for me as a Congolese youth, basically. It was so important for me to kind of educate other Congolese. As I stated already, a lot of people are not aware that for us to get what we got today, like all the more by telephone or the things for us to get it, a lot of people, young people under the age of 5 are dying. A lot of people are losing their lives. So it was so important me when I joined, not just to support them, but also to put myself in as a Congolese person. Those who are dying there back in Congo, it could be me as well. Yeah. So it was as a human and the humanity in me. It was so important me to raise awareness and support the job they're doing, because it's really important. And because I personally believe that without the justice, there will be no peace. We need to have all the people committed crime in Congo have to be taken to court. They have to be, without that, we won't have anything. We will still going in circle like we're going now. So justice is so important. It's a first step for, the way forward for a peaceful Congo, practically a Great Lake region, peaceful Great Lake region. Let me put it that way. Maybe also Africa, because you need to know that Congo is in the heart of Africa. It's like the body. If your heart is not functioning, you'll practically be confirmed as a dead person. So Congo is in the heart of Africa with 9 neighbors, the only country with 9 neighbors. So it's very strategic. Without peace in Congo, we won't be able to, Africa won't be able to develop. So peace is coming through justice. If you have a justice, it's not only me who stated, even those other people, such as or the leader in the world, such as Barack Obama and the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki. So it's he stated specifically Thabo Mbeki, without the peace in Congo, we were still gonna go in a circle in Africa. So it's really important. Everybody should be going with a lot of things. This is what Kwame Nkrumah really knew the importance of Congo. So we, as not just Congolese, I joined to support Congolese, also to raise awareness in other African communities, young or adult. So for all of them to get involved, all of them to know that if Congo is in peace, we all going to get. I'm not saying that other country not playing important role. Yeah, they all playing important role, but it's so important Congo to be in peace, because it's in the heart of Africa and the 9 neighbors. Those neighbors go their neighbors. It goes all to Libya, to north, to south, to west, to east. So it's really important for people to know, to know what's going on in Congo. All the crime, all the criminals are sitting in office there. they still go out there pretending like they are they are good people, or they are the one who've been destabilizing Congo for years. So for me, getting involved was so important to me overall, because I believe without peace, there will be no prosper Congo, and there will be no prosper Africa. So it was so important to me to raise awareness, and everywhere I go, whether in university, support what Sylvestre's group are doing. So for youth to be involved, because the youth are the future of that continent. Yes.
Yeah, Francine, it seems like you must have talked to Delphine before, right? Because you talked about how the humanity in you would not let you stay silent, and that's a really important thing. And you talk about, both you and Sly talk about raising awareness. You know, the way it goes is, if you're not aware, you will not care. There are people who are aware and still don't care. Those are, as you know, Brother Kemiseba said the other day, they already dead. They just happen to be breathing with a pulse. If you know something, if you know an injustice is happening and you do nothing about it, you stay silent, you stay in your comfort, you have a problem. And you know, you have a problem with humanity. And so to step up and, you know, get the youth moving, get the people moving, get them going, you know, and really pushing for justice. As you said, there is no peace without justice, and there is no there's not going to be justice without truth. And so part of what you're doing is really spreading the truth and sharing. And also the other person, you mentioned a number of people that talked about the reason why Congo is important. There was also Malcolm X talked about the importance of Africa, of Congo to Africa. We know, Delphine said it earlier. She said, you know, the Congo can feed the whole continent of Africa. The Congo can light, electricity-wise, the whole continent of Africa. And here we are today, the Congolese people, the world does not know. There is this global amnesia, some of it willing amnesia, as Sly said, and then there is a global amnesia because people are not aware. So I just want to commend you both for taking part in raising this type of awareness and making sure the world knows, because the world must know what is happening, because people must be held responsible for what knowledge they have access to, not what they know, what they have access to. So if you have access to knowledge and you don't grab it, you're still responsible. And if you are aware of an injustice and you don't care, or you're indifferent, or you do nothing, you're helping the perpetrator. So I just want to commend you both for doing what you do. And Genocost is important because it wakes people out of their slumber. The other thing is, the Congo is a very important part of the continent of Africa, but it also a very important part of the world. We were having microphone issues when Sly talked about not just the global amnesia, but also the reason, the Genocost came about. 6 million people, more than 6 million people have been killed. So what else in terms of, the work that you do, Genocost, like, talk to Africa, talk to the Africans, let us know, what can we do? You don't have to be from Congo. Congo is touched by 9 other countries. So there's 10 countries out of 54. That's 20% of the continent. Talk to us, get us going in this, Genocost, campaign and other campaigns to really raise awareness and push for justice.
Yes, what we can do collectively as individuals is, first of all, like you said, share the knowledge, because a lot of people do not know. It is on purpose that Congo does not make the headline, despite the level of the atrocity that goes on there. So we all have a phone. We all have access to social network. We all have access to the internet. Or not all of us, but loads of us do. At least those watching the show would do. You can share a clip about what's going on in Congo. get yourself some knowledge about what's going on, the atrocity, about the Genocost. You have loads of resources online that you can share, small video, short video that explain the conflict. And also, for those of us living in the West, whether you're African or not, we can demand to have cleaner, ask for multinational, maybe a mobile phone provider, maybe Apple or Samsung, whichever electronic manufacturer that you are, you can ask to have cleaner technology. This is a campaign that's been going on for years and that's driving attraction. In the beginning, when I started joining the movement, Apple was ignoring activists talking about having clean traceability in a mineral. Today is no longer the case. So it took time, it took years, but the little gesture of people saying we want to have clean minerals can help reduce the usage of children in mining or child mining or conflict minerals. So there is lots of things that we can do, but you can start by just sharing a bit of knowledge. And on the 2nd of August of each year, we always raise a campaign where we're asking people to share a candle of hope for the people of Congo. And that's also a small gesture that you can do that just raises awareness visually to tell people, why is that candle passing around? You know, I've seen it around. What is it about? And they can find out, yes, this candle is to remember that there is over 6 million people that are being killed in today's world for us to be able to have the luxury to have a phone. And it doesn't have to be that way. So definitely, if you can, there is a lot of things you can do. Don't feel intimidated or don't feel, it's often easy to feel overwhelmed and powerless when you look at the size and the magnitude of the issue. And that's how I felt personally when I first started. You know, there's a lot of people that would say, but what can you do as a person? What can I do as an individual? Well, I started by educating myself and surrounding myself with people that were like-minded and doing something. And out of that was born Genocost, which was born in London with a room with 50 people about 9 years ago. Today, across the globe, it is a movement that is going on with Congolese and non-Congolese sharing a candle of hope on the 2nd of August. And we had, you know, political leaders as well in Congo today talking and asking for action to be taken to end the genocide in DRC, and also for recognition of the 2nd of August as a date on which we'll commemorate this, and we'll have to take action to end impunity. None of this would have happened if all we did was sitting down and say, what can we do? This is too big. We are just, you know, young people miles and miles away with no fortunes or no army to change the thing. So never underestimate what you can do as an individual or what you can do as a group once you get started.
Yes, 100%. Never underestimate what you can do, even if it's small.
Right on the point. Right on point.
Can I just add something? Apart from that, also, we need, thank you so much. We need also all African, everyone who care, if you care about children, you're going to have to say something about what's going on in Congo, because a lot of people are dying there. Back in Congo are young people under the age of 5. So if you care about that, you're going to have to say something about Congo. You're going to have to raise awareness. You don't have to work up. You're going to have to lobby for Congo. Even if you care about climate change, you're going to have to say something about what's going on in Congo. Congo has the second rainforest, the biggest second rainforest in the world after the Amazon. So, and now if we are in the country still in not stable, there is instability everywhere. If we're still in that position, then we probably, there will be a lot of people cutting the trees and, you know, and all that. And there will be lack of practically leadership. And when the country is there is instability, it means we may lose the second lung of the world, which is Congo rainforest, Congo basin. So apart from that, also, if you really care about women, you're going to have to say something, because almost 48 women have to be raped per hour for all of us to get a phone. It shouldn't be that way. We should also we can get access to all those minerals without really harming Congolese people. There is other countries, like, you know, in Asia, other countries, they have mineral oil, all these Arab countries. They don't need to, they don't kill them for people to get access. That people should come in Congo, to Congolese people, sign a deal instead of basically have to go and they kill Congolese like they always do to get some Congolese access to mineral for free. It shouldn't be that way. We have to lobby, and apart from that, for all this to happen, the lobby we have to be focused on for us to have international tribunal for Congo. It has to create international tribunal for Congo for all the crime committed in Congo and Great Lake region. That's the first step. That's the way forward. Without that and creation of international tribunal, we will still, like I said it before, going in a circle. So people should lobby. People should go and lobby for Congo. We've done that before during the apartheid. The people stood up for South African people everywhere, and then we got the result. We can do that again. As a human, we can do that. I still believe we can do that, because 60 million people have lost their life in Congo. That's almost all the people in Switzerland. You kill an entire country. It shouldn't be that way. If you look at it in the magnitude, it's really genocide, and it should be stopped soon as possible.
Yes. Thank you so much, Francine. I really like the way you just touched a few things, but we'll come back to the tribunals in a second. But you also mentioned something about, the health, the women. So can you talk to us about your passion for healthcare and why it matters in Congo, particularly for women, please?
No, Francine, I have to interrupt and, just add to what you both said, you and Sly. There is a Nigerian activist who said, this was I think it was last year, she said, excuses are like shoes. You always pick the one that fits. And so what you're saying here is, don't let the overwhelming nature of the problem stop you from taking the small actions that you can take. So take action. Don't stop. Don't just, think, oh, this is too big. It's so much bigger than me, because every little bit counts. Your 2 feet counts and your voice counts. And I just wanted to interject that and just remind people, excuses are like shoes. You always pick the one that fits. So please proceed with the healthcare and why it matters in Congo.
Oh, thank you so much. Before I answer the question, I will probably give a briefly story about why I became so passionate about health and why I choose to get involved in health sector. When I was young, back in Congo, very young, probably around age of let's say 8 or 9, something like that. In the western part of Congo, I was born in the cities not far from the capital city, Kikwit. My city, and I salute all the people from Kikwit. So there were Ebola, and we all know how we faced Congo's faced a lot of Ebola crisis as well, and that Ebola really killed a lot of people back then. And then I remember, and the president at that time was President Mobutu, and when the Ebola crisis strike and people they actually approach the government. The government is supposed to come. They kind of they ignore it, and Ebola is really deadly, more than even probably COVID. So what happened? People died, and I was sitting with my mom. And then I saw a couple of my friends and my friends' families and passed away. We have to go, being kind of coffin man, like lockdown. And I asked my mom, where is the government? Why the government is not doing anything? And my mom was just, you understand when you grow up. So that actually ring a bell. That actually made me think it shouldn't be this way. But overall, the Catholic Church, the bishop at the region actually contacts the Pope and then things, and they put pressure on the Congolese government at that time, Zaire, and that's how they came back to support later. But it was already a lot of people passed away, so it made me, especially women and children passed away. So it made me, because usually during crisis like that, women and children, elderly people are the victim, the vulnerable one. So I say to myself, I suppose I have to be involved in health, because I believe personally that health is the key tool, the tool for a development of the country. Apart from justice, health system has to be in a good shape for the country to move on. When you look at a lot of countries around the globe, those who are developed, you notice the health system is really settled. So in terms of Congo, it's not. And then I became so passionate about it, and which is when I left Congo, and then I practically focused studying all this. And then I became so got involved with internal displaced women and children, supporting them with basic health care, basic one, well, I can afford. Sometimes we used to do fundraising, things like that. So overall, I believe, to answer your question, I believe without health is so important. Apart from justice, health is so important. And the Congo health system, we have a good doctors, we have a good allied professionals, all the professionals have, but we don't have a really prevention system in place, because I believe you can treat someone, but if there is a lack of prevention, you look at that in long term, then the disease will come back again. This is exactly what we are facing with Ebola all the time, because the prevention system is not in place. And actually, Congolese government doesn't really invest in health sector much, really a little tiny bit. They don't even invest there. It's not even one of the strategic ministry if I compare to the other ministry. So I decided to be involved, because I saw how a lot of people are, especially women, pregnant women, are dying. Some of them, with the insecurity in the eastern part, they will be walking, miles and miles, to get proper treatment. And first aid, just a simple first aid, is like a luxury. So I decided, I will support in even just for little like support of in terms of first aid, in terms of a little training. Particularly now we are trying to do, we are in a process of doing a training with I'll be part of it in how to train our nurses and new students who are into nurses, just training such as like how to prevent choke, how to prevent cardiac attack, how to prevent infection control, how to control infections, not being able to spread out like it's happened all the time in Congo. So we're trying to do a lot of training, like a 2 days training, which is I'm gonna be part of people who will be training as well. Yeah, I experienced Ebola overall. I saw how people died, and this made me realize that apart from the justice that we need in Congo, we also need a good health sector, because the doctors, politicians, police, soldiers, students, musicians, dancers, all of them need to be in good health. Drivers, taximan, all of them, Claude, all of us, Delphine, we need to be in good health for the country to move on. I believe in the human resources. When the human resources is weak, when people are not in good health, how are they going to work? How are they going to contribute in a tax? They have to be in a good health. This is really important. People need to take into account all that. And that's why I'm practically passionate about it, because I believe things has to change, and specifically health sector in Congo must change.
Thank you so much, Francine. You are so passionate. You are so passionate about this. I like the passion, and like you said, youth and the people who have experienced this. This is the time, and there's no small action. There's no small intervention. So thank you for all you are doing, and also for the vision. Thinking prevention, thinking women and children. So that's really good. Thank you for that. Also, before you mentioned that you talked about something about the tribunals, so I want to ask you as well. Sylvestre. So the Genocost campaign is, raising awareness about the genocide taking place in Congo, and seeing Dr. Mukwege, I guess, pushing for international tribunals. So what's the campaign position in terms of tribunals? Sylvestre, and then Francine, you speak to that as well.
Thank you, Delphine. We in the Genocost campaign support Dr. Mukwege's call for an international tribunal, simply because it's the only mechanism by which you can be able to trial all the people who perpetrated crimes and against humanity and crimes of genocide in the DRC, as the ICC will not be able to, the International Crime Court, for those who are not familiar, will not be able to put those people on trial who committed crime before its creation. So we are definitely supporting the appeal, and it's one of the requests we have, because we believe that as long as there is no justice, we cannot build peace. As long as there is impunity, you cannot bring stability. So we support this, and it's something that we advocate, that we always put on our campaign. We stand with Dr. Mukwege, and the theme of our Genocost this year will actually be looking at the theme of impunity. Why is it that 10 years after the UN mapping report was written, many of the perpetrators are today high-ranking officers in the Congolese army? Why is it that up to now the Congolese government hasn't played its part in helping to set up the national tribunal? Why is it that up to now the countries involved in supporting rebel groups haven't been penalized, of those rebel groups, those rebel leaders that sometimes have been called to justice, have been able to ignore those calls to justice without any action taken by the international community? So we definitely support this call for an international tribunal, because for us it's the only way in which we can go for justice and for reconciliation and long-lasting peace.
Oh, thank you so much, Sly. That's very important. Francine, if you can please speak to that as well.
Oh, thank you. Sly already said it all. So I'm just gonna add probably a bit, as we all already know that without the justice, there's no peace. Victims are waiting for justice. They are still alive. They're waiting for justice. And for them, psychologically, I have a psychology background. Psychologically, they have to be it's a part of the therapy. Justice is part of the therapy psychologically. You can't just, there is a big impact when criminals are being promoted, like what's going on in Congo, where criminals are being promoted to high-ranking top job, role in Congo ministry, because we know a lot of people who are ministers or who used to be ministers. Well, their names are mentioned in Matthew report. So when someone who's a victim of who knows that is the one who killed my parent, that is this man or this woman is a part of the people who ravage our villages, and they are there psychologically, it's really, really dreadful. It's painful to see that. And when you look at it in terms of young people will be looking, so I can also be part of militias. So, and then after, when I'm part of militias, I'll be giving a high-ranking top role in an army. So a lot of people, when you look at it, a lot of young people, what is the example the government are setting? What is that example? It is psychologically, we need to look at there is a big impact. This is why justice is really important tool for those victims, because they're waiting for justice. They really want that, and you will not just say, you're not just going to be a healing process. It's not just going to be a step forward for a prosper Congo, but you're also going to console them, because without that, it's very difficult. This in terms of them being the impact they are psychologically, physiologically, emotionally, intellectually, even physically, this one in terms of abuse, sexual abuse. And then when we look at it in terms of inspiring. So young people will be inspired to what? To copy. Okay, I can be part of, like I stated, I can be part of a malicious group. And then tomorrow, after tomorrow, like the M23, who are killed by today or tomorrow, we're seeing them. They'll be promoted in a Congolese national army, which is FARDC in French, which is not, it shouldn't be that way. Criminals should be put into prison straight away after they condemn them, of course. Yeah, so international tribunal is really important because of that, because you heal a lot of people. Is also going to inspire the people to not taking a guns or creating militias to be able to get a top job in the future, like what we've been seeing in Congo. This is why I fight. This is why I speak out. This is why I raise awareness. This is why I educate people. This is why I always ask people be on the side of a good history, history. Be on the side of Congolese people while they're seeking justice, and because justice is what will not just heal them, it's also what will change a lot of things in Congo.
Yeah, thank you so much, Francine, for that, and Sly. This is I love your passion, both of you, and I love how well and organized you put your thoughts. It takes away every excuse that anybody wants to take. And as you both said, impunity is the biggest enemy of the people in Congo and also the Great Lakes region. And as a Rwandan person, I would be remiss if we finish this broadcast, you're talking about perpetrators who are in Congo without me talking about Rwandan perpetrators. The Congo was invaded by Rwanda and Uganda in 1996. That's how this whole war, conflict, genocide, mass rapes, mass atrocities, and war crimes all took place. And we are dealing with the deadliest conflict since World War II, a genocide that's been multiple genocides taken place in the Congo over the last 27 years. And the world is 25 years, sorry. In October, it's going to be 25 years. And the world is silent because many don't know. But we do have major perpetrators in Rwanda today in power that, as you said, must be brought to justice. The president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, is one of the top criminals in the Congo. One of his advisors, General James Kabarebe, is a major war criminal and genocidaires. And last year, 2020, July 18th, 2020, he took the microphone and not only disparaged Dr. Mukwege, but he also said, and he may have said the disparaging of Dr. Mukwege may have been after, but on the 18th of July, 2020, he said, you cannot claim that millions of people in the Congo have been killed because you cannot even find a single body. And I thought that was, of course, talk by criminals. Every criminal will deny what they've done. And he was sitting there denying this genocide. And if there is any kind of genocide denial, that was top genocide denial. But again, what can we expect from him, the Himmlers and those who were, generals of Hitler? It's the same thing, So now this guy, as my Congolese brother Kambale Musavuli says, is one of the criminals without borders. So we have criminals without borders in the Great Lakes region of Africa. And so it would be remiss if we just talked about the Congolese without talking about the Rwandans and the Ugandans. And in 2012, when the M23 was wreaking havoc in the eastern part of Congo, the sponsors of that invasion and those who provide logistics and material were General James Kabarebe, General Charles Kayonga, General Jacques Nziza. Those were at the very top of the invasion. And raising awareness works. At the time, sanctions were brought against the government of Rwanda. And I have never seen a rebellion so powerful die so quickly. So justice comes in multiple forms. I agree with you that we must pursue international tribunals to try these international crimes. These are not just crimes inside of Congo. These are crimes that were committed by people from outside of the Congo, inside of the Congo, and also outside of the Congo. People were kidnapped, people were killed, women were raped, children. Half of the people who have died are under the age of 5. These are babies. They killed babies. And here we are, today they are still in top government positions. As you said, the way to end this is to bring them to justice so that nobody ever thinks that going and killing people and starting a war and getting millions of people killed is the solution to becoming more powerful. So this campaign must continue. I love the comment by Sly about how Apple didn't care, all these manufacturers didn't care until these campaigns started. So being a consumer, a responsible consumer, is also important. All of us are consumers. All of us are carrying a piece of the Congo with us. And it's important that we use those pieces of Congo that we have to carry out this. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is that the campaign, the Genocost campaign, has attracted so much diversity in the campaign. And we just wanted to show a piece of some of the diversity. If the studio has the video from the Genocost campaign this year. And we also, would like to display some of the pictures in various campaigns with you all participating. But I just want the studio to queue up the video, if you would, and go ahead and show the audience who some of the people supporting the campaign are.
Ceux qui vivent dans nos cœurs ne meurent jamais. À nos morts, à nos martyrs. We'll never forget about you. Nous ne vous oublions pas. Kinglish, Mwananzambe.
Tukusikala jamais kubusa na bino. Silius Kam Aquaman. Mr. Pushini Chick.
Mimi Riki Mulolo nasema hatutawaiba sababu watu mlikufa na genocide. Congo, Rwanda.
À jamais dans nos cœurs.
Je ne vous oublie pas. Nakobosa na binote. Fali Ipopa.
Tokobosa na bino jamais. Je ne vous oublierai jamais. Je suis Kofi Olomide.
En RDC, le génocide oublié. Mais nous ne vous oublions pas.
Well, thank you, studio, for playing that video. Sly, tell us how you got to get those stars into the campaign. Yeah, it's good to see them supporting and everything. And this campaign has to keep going because we have to do it. People have to do it. So how did you get them to participate?
I have to say it was a lot of hard work, and it was most importantly teamwork. We have loads of partners that support the Genocost, and we thought that it would be important to try to get our celebrities, in particular our musicians, to be involved in this campaign. And so it was a case of trial and error, making some emails, making some phone calls, trying, crossing fingers, hoping you get some response. And thank goodness, the likes of Kofi Olomide has responded, Alesh, who's a very engaged musician, Werason, Fali Pupa, the biggest name in Congolese music, were very supportive to help push Genocost. And for us, it's very important because some of your viewers may not be aware, but there's been a big divide between the Congolese people and the Congolese musicians, in particular to the diaspora when it comes to activism, because for a long time they've been accused of always singing about everything except from what is going on, for not using their platform to raise awareness about a social issue, or even worse, for using their platform to praise the political scene. So that has led to a ban of them performing in Europe for a long time, imposed by the diaspora. And only recently, that's with the change of regime that has been lifted, so to speak. And we want to put the opportunity again to them to say, some of you have said in the past that you support the community you are engaged, so here's your chance. And, we are glad for those that came forward to have shown their faces and put their voices behind and help us, to put Genocost on the map and bring back the issue of the Congolese genocide, not only on the Congolese scene, but also on the international scene.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's what you guys, both of you and Francine, were talking about before. You won't know, just try, just knock on that door, just, raise awareness and get that help, you don't lose anything if they say no, what's the worst can happen, you know what I mean? That's
exactly
good. Thank you guys for what you're doing, and I guess as we continue into the talk today, let's talk about the mapping report. I'll start with you, Sylvestre, if you can tell the audience what is what is the mapping report and why is it important, please? Yeah.
Yes, the UN mapping report is a report that documents crime that happens in some of the, not all the crime, but some of the most important crime against humanity and so on that happened in Congo between the period of 93 to 2003, I believe, if I'm correct. And this was an exercise of kind of collecting all this crime by using multiple witnesses, using UN experts. I think it was a group of around 30 UN experts that were sent on this mapping exercise to pinpoint where the big atrocity, where are the big crimes, and actually record them. And that report was done about 10 years ago, I believe in 2010. I believe back then Kofi Annan was the UN leader of the UN who commissioned it. And it is a very important report because it's not a report that is done by Congolese people. So therefore it cannot be accused of being biased. It's done by the UN. And it documents clearly and lay evidence bare for everybody to see of the atrocities that are there and of the level of this atrocity and what they could be classified as, whether it's as war crime, crime against humanity, or genocide if proven in court. Everything is mentioned in that label, in that report. And just for the viewers to know, before that report came out, there was a lot of opposition, in particular from the Rwandan government, who blackmailed the UN, so to speak, because back then they had loads of troops in Sudan to secure Darfur. So this report actually came out through a leak, as far as I'm aware, and that's the reason why we have it today, because the people that work on it wanted us to have it, to use it. And this is a very powerful tool that can be used by anybody, of goodwill of a government body that really want to bring peace in Congo, to say, okay, we have this report, we want to do something about it, we want to find out who those people are, put them on trial and find out what's true, what's not, and if there are people that are found guilty, we want to put them behind bar.
Thank you, Sly. That's well put. Yeah, and I guess people who are not aware of the UN mapping report, they can look it up, for more information. But Francine, would you like to add anything to what Sly said? And also, if you can speak about the recommendation of the mapping report, and who are the key perpetrators or suspects, Thank you, Francine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna probably speak about the recommendation because Slide's already said almost all the important things are supposed to be, everybody's supposed to know. Yeah, the recommendation is just probably what we've been saying earlier on is people need to, you can Google it now. I think it's online now. You can Google it, UN mapping report. But if he basically get access to the report first, is the first step. So when you get access to it and you read it, then from there you put yourself, you see what can you do to support this mapping report, and that's practically is the first step, first recommendation. And as soon as you know what to do, you've got access to it, and then you know what to do, then you can get involved in a lot of there is a lot of organization who are actually working to supporting Dr. Mukwege, who's actually someone who's the forefront fighting for justice for Congo and the creation of an international tribunal for Congo, using mapping report as a tool, as a kind of testimony of all the crime committed in Congo. So you get involved in a lot of organization. I think Claude mentions one of the good activists I know, Kambale Msavuli, and the organization Friend of Congo, and a lot of organizations who are working, supporting Dr. Mukwege, and then, are working towards fighting for justice for Congo. So you get involved in a lot of organization around, and those are the recommendations I can personally give. Also, you can actually also get involved in a lot other organizations like COPAC, Conscience Citoyenne. I think in French, in English is a citizen consciousness. This organization has been found a member, and they're also working toward the same vision, and then Sylvestre organization as well. So there is a lot of organization people can get involved, but the first step is you get access to mapping reports, which is easy to get access to it now, and read it, and then be on the side of Congolese people while they're fighting for justice, which is because the justice, as we stated already, is the way forward for a peaceful and a prosperous Congo, which will bring prosperous and peaceful Africa, Great Lakes region first, and then Africa in general. Thank you.
I just I wanted to add one more thing to what you all said about the mapping report. Actually, two things. I know Sai kind of spoke about it. The mapping report talks about only, I just want to emphasize only the most important, crimes in the Great Lakes, in the Congo during the time that the mapping report was done. I also want to speak to the Criminals Without Borders, as my brother Kambale refers to them as. When we hear somebody like General James Kabarebe saying that nobody was killed in the Congo, I just want to remind him and everybody that's listening that the mapping report started because mass graves were discovered in the Congo. And that is what happened. And Brother Kambale Musavuli talks about, he's been one of the main major campaigners of, getting the mapping report out and making sure that the recommendations are implemented. This is not a joke. It's not a suggestion. People were killed. Millions of people were killed. There is mass graves from the eastern part of Congo all the way across the Congo, and from the southern part of Congo all the way to the northern part of Congo. And the discovery of those mass graves is what started the mapping report. So I just wanted to set the record straight that nobody believes when a war criminal, when a criminal without border comes out and says that nobody was killed, because this is how the mapping report actually started. I just wanted to put that out there for those who, and the other thing is, if you can't read the whole mapping report, at least share shows like this, where people talk about it with knowledge. You just got a summary of what it is and what's included. And also, people are giving their own testimonies. Some of us have lived some of the things that are talked about in those, in that mapping report. Share these things so that people are educated, so that people are aware. When they're aware, they can care. When they care, they will do something. Those who are aware and don't care will also be, they're just as responsible. They are helping the perpetrators, and hopefully not many people are going to help the perpetrators. I just wanted to add that it started because of mass graves, and yes, that there is a limit to the crimes that are documented, because if they documented all of them, that report would be as big as maybe 6 dictionaries or more.
Thank you so much, Claude, for adding that. And also, we see that Claude is saying so many people, or even Sly, you say that, some people are like blackmailing, the people who are reporting, or, the people don't want, the perpetrators or suspects don't want this to go out. And we've seen that, as soon as you start talking about Congo and what happened to yourself in Congo, they're like, oh, keep quiet, or, all this, intimidation and everything. So can you both tell us where you woke up, the courage to face up to these dictators, Can you talk to us about that, Sly, please?
It's hard to, I guess it's that personally, I want to share my personal story, okay? For me, it was more out of, first of all, there was frustration because I wasn't aware of how badly things got in Congo after I left. Having been living in the UK since 2000, so to speak, I was a bit detached from the reality of the politics and what was happening in my country, until I watched the documentary that was made by Brother Kambale Msevuli, a friend of Congo, uncovering the crisis in Congo, which just opened up my eyes to the magnitude of the human tragedy that was there, which is something I recommend to everybody who want to get an introduction to Congo. It's only 26 minutes long, but that documentary is my go-to place. Start there and then work your way around to wherever you want. If you only have 26 minutes, half an hour, it's nothing. It's less than an episode of Game of Thrones. Watch it. It will tell you so much more, and you'll be so much better than I can explain. But after watching it, there was a fire that kind of started within me. I could not get myself to believe that this is happening and nobody seemed to care. Nobody seemed to be doing anything about it. And, as I lost a lot of night to sleep over it. And I decided that I need to take action. And when I did start taking action, I did join organizations that I could find locally that were already involved into it. And they helped me to meet more people and find out more about what I can do. Because in the beginning, you should think, what can I do? What can I do? And then, start walking, start sharing, start talking, and then things will come. Things will come. So I say, yes, there is this aspect of fear. Yes, fear is there, but at some point you need to overcome your fear, because my fear is that if nothing is done, what will be left of Congo? What will be left of my country and my people? And if I may open a small bracket, Francine earlier mentioned a topic of the environment, which people don't often talk about when it comes to Congo, because we focus on, and myself, I focus on the humanitarian aspect. But I want us to take a step back and look at where we are today globally, okay? COVID-19 started because someone in Asia consumed something that came from an animal and that carried the virus that was transmitted to a human. That happened in China, and within a year or 6 months, people in New York and South Africa had to close down business and shut down schools. Okay? That was a contact between human and animal. The world in which we live today, the environment, our health, and our economy are so intertwined that we can no longer ignore and say, because it's happening in the Congo, that will not affect me. Because guess what? Congo, as mentioned earlier, has the second largest rainforest. And it also has some of the largest mammals in the world. And an incredible biodiversity, including the silverback gorilla, who are currently under threat. What this instability is doing in Congo is encouraging poaching and looting. What will it take for another species of animal containing another virus to end up in a street market, whether in Congo or somewhere in the Great Lakes region, and that to shut down the world next? Is that then that we'll start caring about what's happening in the Congo? Is it then that we'll start realizing that we can no longer ignore what is happening there, because instability in the Congo is linked to us one way or another? We're talking about the environment. Today, if the Congolese rainforest, the second largest, as mentioned Francine quite earlier, is not stabilized, we're going to have more of those heat wave record that we're seeing currently in Turkey and in Greece. We're going to have more burning houses in America. We're going to have more floods in Europe. All of that is intertwined. If we don't act now, if we don't try to bring stability now to that region, when? Because tomorrow will be too late. We talk about electricity in Africa. If we talk about electricity in Africa, from Congo, it's not just any electricity. We're not talking about nuclear power. We're talking about hydroelectric energy, which is clean energy from the River Congo. But guess what? If today we allow the current illegal looting of the rainforest going on by multinationals who are operating in total impunity and total lack of regulation in Congo to cut the timber, there won't be much of that river left for us in Africa. So for our peace and stability, for Africa's security of energy, even for food stability. Today, people in Lake Chad are facing lots of insecurity because of the water crisis. Congo has so much arable land, can be part of that solution. But if we don't act now, tomorrow it may be too late. So even if you don't care about Congo, but if you care about your food, if you care about your health, if you care about the world in which you and your children are going to be in, you need to look at that place because it is globally of strategic importance to us all. That's what I want to say.
Thank you so much, Aslai, for that. Wow, it's good. Like you said, we always have fear and everything, but then what? We have to overcome it. So I really love your courage and the way you just put it. I mean, if everyone keeps silence, then what's going to happen? Like we said earlier, even if it's not for, I don't know, for your own, for your blood, for your people, but for humanity, where's the humanity in all this? So I really love that, the way you put it. Francine, if you can speak to us about that as well, how you woke up, the courage, please, Francine.
Well, thank you again. Me, I'm gonna start also with a bit of a story. I started in 2008. I was practically finished my high school. I'm going to college, and I saw Kunda Batware with his group NDP. I think they took South Kivu. And I was seeing on the news, it happened the same time when Barack Obama was elected. It was during his first term. And then I was asking, every time when they'll put the elections, the first black president, and then they'll put what's going on in Congo as well. And the way that man with his malicious group took over the one of the biggest, the strategic region in Congo, it really, and then how they killed a lot of people and how women were victims, children, elderly people, it really baffled me. And there were no one. It was like it's normal. And the worst part of it was they have to kind of collaborate with him, with his group to, cease the fire. And then I was asking, this man and his group, they just killed a lot of people. Why should people have to sit there and kind of sort of begging him? It doesn't make sense for me. And for me, it was a waking call. And from there, and then I start searching, what can I do? And as young as I was it was a bit too much, but I just said, because naturally I've always been, since I was young, I don't like injustice. I'm allergic to it. When I see things, I'll speak. Even when I was in primary school, I'll be speaking. In Africa, our teacher beat people, beat children. One of my teachers beat me, and then I report him. He was sanctioned. I actually bring all my friends. We march because that teacher, be beating us. I'm kind of, I like to speak. No, if he's not hating anyone, basically, no killing anyone. If it's for the good cause, I'm on it. So, and I came across with what a job Dr. Mkwe was doing at that time, and then I found a lot of things, and La Guerre des 6 Jours, which is a war of 6 days between Rwandan army and Uganda army in Kisangani, one of the biggest cities in Congo. So I found a lot of things when I started Googling, and then I was like, I need to do something about it, even just for a little, something very little. But I became more active after the election of 2011. When Tshisekedi, the former opposition, passed away, won the election, but they proclaimed Kabila, and that's how I was like, no, I have to be involved more. And from there, I was in college, started raising awareness about what's going on in Congo, and from university to university and different places, and that's how I thought that's the thing I can do as a young person, because I was practically, I didn't have enough to. That's the only thing I could have done at that time, and then I started raising awareness about it. Yes, I came across a lot of problem. Specifically, I remember in 2015 when Congolese people were marching in Kinshasa because Kabila, the former president, who just left, who wanted to, to organize census before election, and census in Congo will take 5 years because the country is really big, as you stated already, second biggest country in Africa. So, and I, from TV or sometime when you do, they invite you to talk about what's going on in Congo, and then you get a lot of sort of threats or something, but as long you became more, into these things, and then you know yourself that, okay, maybe it's my call, and then any job you do, you come across different difficulties. Any job you do, there is always a difficulty, there's always a ups and down. So I came across that, and it was even harder as a young woman, and the things of everything women we face is harder even, and then when you have African names, go even worse. But we were still there, and we are still here because I believe that what I do is not for my. I'm doing this because there is a woman in the eastern part, even in Rwanda, because let me put in Great Lake regions. There is a woman in the west, south, east, north, central of Great Lake region. I'm just gonna put that region, who really want to speak up. You want to say that with atrocity, they bully, they dictatorship, but they can't because they're scared, because they've been shut them down. And then I decided to speak. I decided to use me to be the voice of those who are what we call voiceless. Because when I do that, that woman, probably I'm speaking on her behalf, because he doesn't have an opportunity I do, and all the platform I do. This is why I think it's really important. Soon as we start speaking out, we start telling the truth, and the truth will set us free. So, I mean, Congolese government, whether this one who's present, Felix Tshisekedi, whether the president, I don't care what they think. Do you know why? Because that Congo, you see, even Rwanda, it doesn't belong to Kagame. Neither Congo belongs to Felix Tshisekedi or former President Kabila. That land, it belongs to all of us. Look, it is our ancestors' land. It belongs to all of us. It's our previous kingdom put together in Berlin. So it's our heritage. And the fight of Great Lakes region, the fight of Congo, the fight of Africa in general, is not just because of we want peace. Also because we're fighting for identity. It's the matter of identity. If that land belongs to us, it's not any politician's heritage or back garden. It is a common interest. A common interest. I want all the audience to remember that. Don't be scared. It's a common interest. If you Rwandese, you're Congolese, you're fighting for justice, or Ugandese, or all African, you need to. I know it's gonna be scary, but it's your heritage given to you by your ancestors, and no one should take your heritage away from you. No one. It is your heritage. It's not those politicians, back garden, or their father's private compound. No, it's common interest.
Wow. Thank you so much, Francine. I love the passion, and I wish everyone would be contaminated with your allergies, you know, way. I wish everyone could be allergic to injustices and, you know, all the bad stuff. So
I hear I'm contaminated. I'm also allergic to injustice.
I love that.
Thank you, Francine.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's really it's refreshing to see, I guess, you guys, you know, sharing your stories, your personal stories, and we are so grateful that you've shared that with us. You know, it's, you know, we love personal stories. And also our audience love connecting on that, you know, on the human level, you know, because sometimes we're talking and people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, but actually these are stories. These are your stories, what you've lived, what you've seen, what you've heard from your families, from yourselves. So we love that, and we are so grateful, you know, for you guys to share it. And also speaking of how you woke up, I wanted to send a shout out to one of our sponsors, Friends of the Congo, for making the film that Sly referred to before. The film is called, you know, Crisis in the Congo, Uncovering the Truth. It's a short 25 minutes film that you can find on YouTube. So the audience, anyone who's following us, please watch it and share it. Hopefully it will wake up, you know, some salt, and it will get you guys going. And like Sly said, some people don't know, but once you started realizing, and I'm hoping that people will wake up and will do something about it. There's no small act, there's no small response, you know, anything that you can do. Both of you were like, oh, what can I do? And you started somewhere, you know, and look where you are. So we are grateful, and we are hoping that people can watch that, you know, that short film, and also they can get the knowledge, they can get the information, you know, for what's happening in Congo. So continuing to maybe start with you, Francine. So what are your hopes for Congo, you know, and for the Great Lakes region of Africa? Like you said, let's put it the whole region as well. So what are your hopes, Francine, please?
I believe in a peaceful Great Lake region, because I've seen a lot of young people. The level of consciousness is growing, which is really a sign of hope for me personally. Because if I compare 10 years ago to now, I can see a lot of people are speaking out. If you look, I look at in Rwanda, for instance, when I compare 10 years ago, it was the worship of the leader of the Rwanda everywhere. But now a lot of people are kind of giving their opinions, and which is a very a step toward peace. Because when people speak, it really inspired other people to also speak. And for me, it's really important. And also, I believe in the youth. I believe in young people, because they are the future of the continent. They are the future of the Great Lakes region. They are the future of Congo. They are the future of Africa in general. And let me say they're the future of the world as well. So it's young people. For me, we really need to still invest in our young people. Africa is a young continent, and majority of people are, specifically Congo, majority of people are young people under the age of 17, which is I always say Congo is a teenager. So it's called hope there, as long young people are conscious. So we need to work on educate our young people to know their right. Because I always believe that when people know their right, we knew our right, that's why we stepped. And then when people know their right, they will demand what belong to them. They will demand why it did. They will question, not just demand. They will start with questioning and demand. So it's really important for all that to happen. they have to be aware, they have to be educated. We who are conscious, we have to put ourselves there to educate the young people. I really, for me, I invest in young people is the hope, is the hope of that region, because when they are distraught, there will be no hope. For me, the hope is that personally invest in young people and educate them so they will start questioning where they're aware, they will be conscious, and conscious, they will start questioning a lot of things. And when they start questioning a lot of things, and they will demand their right. And when they demand their right, and then we will go towards justice, and justice will bring us to peace, and peace will bring us to prosperity and development in not just in Congo, Gwele region, and Africa in general. That's my hope.
Thank you so much, Francine. What about you, Sly? Can you speak to us, please, about your hopes for Congo and for the great region of the Great Lakes region of Africa? Please, Sly.
Yes, I think Francine said a lot of what I was going to say. I definitely believe that the youth of Africa are the way forward. You know, it's easy to get discouraged when you look at what's going on in the politics and in whether it's a national or international scene. But when you actually see what's going on locally on the ground, what the young people get up to when they stand up, the oppression that they face, the way they're fearless against guns, weapons, or dictatorship, the way they stand up bold and demand their rights, you understand that there is hope. You know, before Lumumba died, in one of his letters, he said that I believe in the power of the youth of Congo to fight to preserve our independence. I have that same belief. You know, you need to see it in action to believe in it. You need to see what the amount of resilience Congo has, and not just Congo, but overall Africa in the Great Lake region has in front of those dictators. When you see it, then you can see that hope. And I also believe in the power of information. You know, we've mentioned that a lot today, but I'm just going to go back to, again, 100 years back when King Leopold was owning the Congo. Him, the Belgian king, with an army and thousands of business deals, had against him a journalist called Edmond Morel with a few of his friends who was working in Congo and could see, being working in the port, what was going on in the trade, that ivory and rubber and all sorts of wealth was coming out of Congo, but the only thing that was coming in were guns and tools for oppression. That small person without social media was able to raise a campaign that caused popular uproar, that forced the king to release Congo to the state. Today, all of us in our hands have literally more broadcasting power than he had back then with his few $100 and his friends. So just imagine how much more damage we can do as a people. So knowing that and knowing what the youth of today are capable of, I definitely believe in them. And I know that peace in Congo and the Great Lake is not a matter of if, but when. You know, I have great hope that within a generation, or even less than that, we will be able to see stability, because the youth out there know what they want, and they're definitely fighting for that peace already.
I guess going from what you just said, Sly, what would you like to see? You just mentioned it, but can you talk to us more about what would you like, to see the people in the Congo do, or the people in the region do? What would you like to see them do, please? Sly, you're mute. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. As someone that is no longer living in Congo at the moment, I'm living in the UK. I usually have policy not to tell the people living in Congo what to do. I believe it's very pretentious of me to do so, because I have no idea of the threat that some of them faces. I stand in admiration when I look at what some of them go through. So I would not like, even as a fellow Congolese, I don't think it's my place to tell them what to do, because they're already doing so much. The only thing I will say to them is keep doing what you're doing. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope and keep fighting, because you are making a difference. We are watching you. We're trying to be your voice and your echo out here. But without you, we are nothing, because you are the people that give us information. You are the people that tell us that there is still a will to fight out there. So keep doing the work that you are doing. That's all I can say, really.
Cool. Thank you, Sly. Also, I wanted to go back to you, Francine. You are passionate about, the youth, taking destiny in our own hands. So why is that important to you?
It's important because, as I mentioned earlier on, is because they are the future leader of any given country. The youth are the future leader. When you invest in the youth, you are investing in the future development of any country. So for me, it's so important to be able to work with the youth because of they are the leader of tomorrow. They are the leader of tomorrow. So when you invest in a leader of tomorrow, it's so important because if we don't invest in the leader of tomorrow, we will have a chaotic leaders tomorrow. We will have another practically weak. I won't use the weak. Maybe corrupt leaders or irresponsible leaders of tomorrow. So investing in the leader of tomorrow is, which are the youth, is really important for me. Because when I look at, for instance, what's going on in Congo, and then how our system, for instance, of education also are not in a good really state like you used to. You're gonna have to actually invest in what you know. Sly is a specialist in something. You may invest in something. The youth who likes what Sly is specialized. Like me, I'm really into health, and then I can contribute in that sense. For me, it's really important. Like, as I say already, I don't want to repeat myself again. Youth are the future leader of the country, and then for us to be able to develop African continent or Gwele region, Congo in general, we need to invest not just in short term. I'm gonna end here, right? We don't need to invest not only in the short term. We need to invest in the long term. We need to look at 30 years. What is going to be? Who's going to lead this country? Who's gonna be? Those who are how the country is going to be for function. So for this, apart from infrastructure, building road and all that, we need to invest in youth because they are also part of that few long term we're talking about. It looks like a lot of our leaders, they tend to look at the short term instead of long term. They tend to invest in short term always. I'm not saying all the time, but from time to time, and Congo investing in particular. So I decided to focus on youth more because I'm looking at the future. What is going to be the future of Congo 30 years to come? So investing in them is investing, even if a little, even though it's not much, but a little is you will contribute tomorrow, 30 years to come. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Francine, for that. And I guess apart from that, investing in youth and also looking forward sort of in the future, is there anything else you'd like to see the people in Congo do, or the people in the whole region do? Anything else? Yeah.
Sly's already said it. They are on the ground. They are doing a lot of things. I don't want to. And the reality sometimes tend to be different if I compare both here, I'm in the UK as well, and them there. So they're already doing a lot. All we need just to support them and support, like I like to say, support psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally, support financially as well. Support shouldn't be only financially. Support has to be also educationally. Support has to be stop things I just mentioned. So yeah, we support them, we encourage them because they need encouragement. Someone might be in terms of psychology, someone might be having all the financial and everything, but if they fear in them, they won't be able to do things. So supporting them financially is good, but supporting them emotionally, supporting them intellectually, supporting them psychologically, this by encouraging them and all that is really important for that's what I am practically focusing on more, because I know it is it's useful for people to be. If you lack courage, you won't be able to do this job we're doing. Yeah.
I really appreciate all your comments, guys. I do want to bring this. You both talk about the hopes for Congo, but then you expand it to the Great Lakes region and to the continent of Africa. There's something really encouraging happening right now. And it's all to do with young people who have decided to stand up and take their own destinies in their own hands. I would like to kick a shout out to one of our friends of the shows, friend of ours, Kemise Ba, who on May 18th, again, when Criminal Without Border, Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, went to France and said that the mapping report was trash and Dr. Mukwege was being used. Kemiseba took a stand and he stood with the Congolese people. He brought a Congolese woman on one of the shows that he was hosted on, and he shared the testimony, which is why you keep saying what you keep saying is important. People should speak up. That's how the world knows. And across Africa, we all seem to be on the same wavelength. There's also Brother Milton Alimari from Uganda who talks about the Congo very passionately. He's been on this platform, Black Star News, which is the editor of, is one of the sponsors of this. They all talk about how they not only really showing what is happening in the Congo and telling the truth about it and calling out the perpetrators and calling for justice, and want to kick a shout out to them. And again, repeating the words of Kemise Ba this past week, maybe it's a few weeks ago, where he said, no matter what threats they send our ways, as you just said, Francine, that courage is important. So what? Why fear death when we're gonna get it anyway? This is something that we're all guaranteed to get. There's another activist that I've seen speaking on the Congo, but also both of them, they do speak on Africa in general and the need for us to to liberate and be liberated and be a strong continent. The other is Togolese woman, very courageous. If you haven't seen some of her work, she's amazing. Some of the things that she's done, really revolutionary things. Farida Nabrema. Miss Farida Nabrema is, she said this week that speak up because your voice will liberate you. The words will liberate you. And those who are shackled and held hostage in fear should find ways and liberate themselves. And this is why, I think, Africa has, I see a lot of hope, because we have so many of us in so many parts of the world, so many different ways, that we all are on the same wavelength. And those who are watching on the sideline, we want them to step up and stand up against injustice without ambiguity, be clear and intentional, so that these dictators that we have, who are sponsored, they're all Western puppets. That's why Kagame goes and makes his speeches in France, and he's friends with France, and thinks he can get away with his crimes. When we all stand up as a united front, when we all awaken the youth, Africa being the youngest continent in the world, we are going to get our own destiny in our own hands, regardless of how many Western supporters these puppets have. Today's liberation for Congo, for the Great Lakes region of Africa, and for Africa in general, is as important as yesterday's fight to liberate South Africa. And it must be a global movement. And it's great to see all of you being, all over the place, in the UK, in Australia, in the US, and people on the ground doing great work. We kicked shout outs to, so many people on this show. And I think it's really important that a unified front continues to grow. And I just admire your courage, and I thank you for the work that you do. But before we continue, we want to engage our audience, because we've got so many people who have contributed and talked about, this show, and some of the comments that, the remarks that you made. There are so many, so I'm just gonna skip around and go to some of them. Some of the earlier ones are, there's somebody named Tuyagire Vanessa, said, "We Africans are brainwashed and we hate each other. That is Congolese people. That's why Congolese people are suffering. And the main cause is the RPF working with intruders," and the RPF being the party in power in Rwanda. And, for me, we don't hate each other. It's just, we have leaders that don't care about the people, and they hate the people. They use the people. We have Mariba Mutese, who said, "Knowledge is power. We have to continue to raise awareness. Justice has to be the basic for a healthy society." Thank you, Sister Mariba Mutese, for this. And Evelyn Gigi says, "If only Congo have good and patriotic leaders, the whole region can have peace and stability." And then we've got Vanessa also said that almost all African politicians are in cahoots with those who want to destroy Africa. Hashtag Free Congo DRC. African love each other. And she also added that all Congolese politicians, including the president, are the workers of Kagame and Wazungu being white people, or Westerners, really, that's what she means there. Olive Murenzi says, "International Tribunal for Congo, I believe that Western powers know and are participants in the crimes taking place for this long, so they will have to be also indicted. There is more and more evidence that Westerners aren't there to keep peace, and if Africans unite and demand that the Westerners are also indicted, I believe it can be done. Every single voice is important. Make noise. Do you realize the power of a fly when you are trying to sleep? Or a mosquito." I love the analogy. I hope everybody gets the picture. And then Javan Wamongo says, "But Congolese shouldn't only blame the outsiders. They also have a sizable responsibility in the appalling state of affairs." And I think you both talked about that. I think that was covered. Maybe that was an earlier comment. There's a lot of comments. I just want to stop here and see if you guys have any reaction to these. There's a couple of comments here about Dr. Mukwege is needed and is a hero at the highest level. This campaign must continue to support the Congolese. This is from Dean Claudine. And there's so much more. Evelyn says, "Impunity is a disease which seems to be common in Africa. I love the way Dr. Mukwege stands up and speaks up about the mapping report, which is now being ignored by the UN by the interest of Babylon." Let me stop there and see if either one of you have any reactions to those, and then we'll continue. I hand it back over to Delphine.
Any reaction to that slide?
Well, there's a lot that has been said, and I think I believe it's almost like if someone in the audience, some people answered the other and kind of share different point of view. I mean, if I may say anything, we often get. I would like to address the negative comment about African hating themselves, like which Claude mentioned. Is a recurring theme I often hear. Another one that I often hear is Africans' worst enemies are African themselves, and that's also often mentioned. And my answer to that is, like Claude says, that we need to make a difference between the people and the elites, and the political elites in particular, because in Africa, in the Great Lake region, not all of Africa, but in the Great Lake region in particular, there seems to be a strong disconnect between the people and the leadership. Ever since the independence, we've gone into a neo-colonial era where our leaders are not chosen or put in power by the people or by Western government or foreign interests, and therefore they are no longer liable to the people and will do anything to harm the people, even or destroy the people for their own selfish interests. And that's where you get that impression, a president thing or helping the perpetrators.
We're having audio issues with Sylvestre. If we could maybe go to Francine, because Sylvestre, we're having audio issues right now with you. We'll go to Francine and come back to you.
Oh.
Yes, Francine, please. Can you? Do you have any comment to make about the audience's engagement? Thank you.
Yeah, my comment would be one of the comments the lady, the audience said was about how African hate each other. I think Slight touched on that already. But what I'm gonna add, I don't think if Slight and Claude touch on that. What I'm gonna add is that Africans don't really hate themselves, but there is a problem we do have, which is a leadership. And the leadership we have, majority of them have been imposed on us, and it's not the will of the people. They are there, so they're doing what people who put them there to do. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are there to do the bidding of those who put them there in power. So we need to think about when someone lacks legitimacy, he knows that even if I do anything, I have a support from somewhere. So a lot of leaders, we're having a leadership issue, and these leadership issues really result in control of everything. Practically, let me say, for instance, media. And they control our TVs and all the media in the countries. I'm just giving typical example of Congo, for instance, and then I believe a lot of countries are like that. Not all African countries, but many of them, they control the medias who are third power. They get controlled by the regime in place. So when the medias are controlled by the regime in place, basically, it makes they do that. For purpose. They know that when they control media, people won't be able to know what's going on in the eastern, north, south, west, or central part of the country. Exactly that's what Kabila used to do, and control all the media. So people on the western part, they don't know what's going on in the eastern part of Congo. So we in the diaspora have to tell them. So even now it's a trend. Even every time when there is election coming, many African countries blocked the internet and no access to internet. We've seen that happen countless time, and when people are not aware, it is normal for them to be distracted, and it's normal for them to get on with their life like nothing really happened in the north, south, east, west, central of Africa. So it's practically that's the issue. But it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, because when I look at how our mothers and then our fathers during colonialism, how they fought for independence, they didn't have a social media. They didn't have a Facebook. They didn't have a YouTube. They didn't have a Twitter. They didn't have what we have. They didn't have the luxury we have. But they didn't. That didn't stop them. They wanted to be free from that shackles. That's sort of a slavery, because I call colonialism a slavery, but in a different form. They just changed the name. They kind of like, we're not taking them to America anymore. Let's leave them in their own country. And then they just change the name. This is a topic for another day. But but when you see, it's just the same thing, kind of like what King Leopold the Second did. It's a kind of a lot of the same thing, but we are slave them in their own country instead of taking them to a new world, which is America. So our fathers, our mothers, they put And to that, they was like, no, we're not going to continue with this. We want freedom. And they didn't have everything we do have. So, and then it was just think about, like, for instance, in Congo, independence in Congo, or in Kenya. I like to hear the Mau Mau in Kenya. The British Army were controlling all the country. The colonials, they have all the army, everything controlled. Our people didn't have any gun or anything, but they fought. They fought. They didn't lose hope. So overall, the excuse of Africa hating themselves is not real. It's not true. It's just African are not aware of what's going on in the south, in east, in the north, and central, west of Africa. They don't know because they many of African dictators control media, and they work hand in hand. You know, they work hand in hand. They are a team. They support each other very well. You see when the other one, like Congo Brazzaville, didn't win the election, but you see a lot of dictators going in there, the day of inauguration support, and they support each other. They work hand in hand. They are a very good team. So we also have to work hand in hand as a good team. They do. Consider that we have access to what our father didn't have, our mother didn't have, but they gave us at least a little bit of freedom, even though the independence is not, we are not fully independent, but we got a little bit, I call it 1%, at least 2 or 3, I don't know. But so exactly, it's a lack of lack of not knowing what's going on in Africa, in other parts of Africa, and then which makes people not be able to support others. But they don't do it because they hate each other. They don't support other countries because they don't know. That's the truth. They don't know. And I'm going to also mention one comment was to do with Congolese also have a part of responsibility. Yes, they do. I always say they do. Congolese leader, we are experienced. We've been experiencing a lack of leadership in Congo for years now. There is when you go to other parts of Congo, there is an absence of authority, and we have a lot of leaders who are involved in the mafia of all the instabilities as well back in Eastern. So yes, Congolese are also part of the problem, specifically corruption and all the things, lack of leadership and absence of authority in other part of the countries, which is true. But in the meantime, there is a multinational. There were a lot of countries are involved. It's not only Congolese people. The Congolese who are involved are puppets, like Claude stated, mentioned that earlier on. So yes, Congolese are also part of the problem. But we will get to the point that we will kick them out. Definitely, because for change to come in Congo, we need a change of political classes. We need a change of political classes, not just in Congo, in Africa, because most of political classes we have that they still have that colonialist mentality. International community every second. So it's we need a change of political classes, and we are the change. The youth are the change of the political classes I'm talking about.
Thank you so much, Francine. Yes, we are doing it, and we are part of the change, and I like that enthusiasm and everything. Yeah, it's good, it's refreshing. As we're getting towards the end of this talk, I really do appreciate, your time and all your talks. Really, really interesting. And the knowledge, it's really good. Like you said, we need to know, to be aware, and also to share what we know so that there's no excuses. As we come to the end, Sly, I don't know if you want to, I guess, finish your earlier comment, and also if you can give us your concluding remark, and also talk to our audience. We have a global audience from all different continents, and also some people who are in decision-making institutions. So what would you like to see the people following this broadcast to do? Please, Sly.
Thank you, Delphine. I hope you can hear me better now.
Yes, much better.
Okay. So I just want to kind of finish off what I was saying earlier about, people not liking each other, and kind of say thank you again for having us, because right now what we have here today in today's conversation, we have you guys from Rwanda, we are from Congo, and we are talking. Despite the history of our countries, we are not fighting each other here. We're not cursing at each other here. We are talking about our common issues. And we need to do more of this, because I believe this is the way forward. This is the solution. This is the hope in the youth that I mentioned earlier, because young people, we are capable of doing what we see constantly our political class fail to do. We are capable of seeing across our differences and looking at our common enemy and our common issues and try to find common solution. I believe this kind of dialogue between us across borders, across ethnic groups is part of the solution that we need. And we should not underestimate this. So thank you for having us around, and thank you for this platform, because it is very important to have this, and to the decision makers, I believe that it is time for us to start taking action and find a long-lasting solution and a sustainable solution to the crisis in the Great Lake region. This is not a matter of what I want or what they want. It's a matter of survival for all of us as a species, because we're living in dangerous time where, as human species, we need to make collective choices of what we want for our future. If we want those electric cars to be produced, where Congo produced 60% of the cobalt needed for the batteries, we need to make that sustainable. If we want to be able to have enough water when the future droughts are coming and not having a World War III in Africa, all of the dictators right now, they need to look at what's happening in Congo and the Great Lake region, because when you're looking at places like Tanganyika, which is the second largest lake in the world, is actually about 16% of the world drinkable water to its own. So while we're busy fighting against rock, gold and coltan and whatever, our water, which is the one resource without which we can't live, is actually far more precious. And if we do nothing to try to bring stability to the region where all this is done, the future is going to be bleak of us, regardless of our status, regardless of our bank account, regardless of where we're going to be, because it's going to be catastrophic. And in that future, I really don't see African dictator win. So we need to take decision now and start looking after our collective good. And the same goes for those in the international scene, in the international community. You can't keep plundering Africa and killing African in today's world and hoping that the bill won't come home. Like I said, COVID already taught us a lesson. Something happened in China. China sneezed and the world caught cold. Well, when Africa will sneeze, God knows what will happen if we don't do something now. So we really need to take this matter seriously, and we need to find peace and sustainable solution. We can't be using the excuse of a minority of people making billion to be costing us trillion. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much, Sly. Thank you. Francine, if you can please, I guess, give us your concluding remark as well, and speak to our audience from all over the continent, please, Francine.
Well, thank you so much. What I would say is, probably I must say that already, is we are really into Congolese people need support from everyone, because what affects Congo affects Africa, and Sly already stated, and affect the world as well. So it's so important for us to support Congolese, demand justice for Congo, and being on the side of a good page, like I would say, they be on the side of a good story. And one day when your grandchildren, tell you, look, I fought for Congolese people, I contributed. Even you may think you need to contribute a lot, maybe just a little things, but it makes a big impact. It starts with, I'm going to do it, or I'm ready to do it. it starts from there, and then from there you search, and from searching, then you network, then you get a contact with the people who are involved in a fight for justice for Congo and the Great Lake region in general. And from there, then, we will see an impact. If we all come together and fight for justice, for peace and prosperity, for a Congo, a better Congo, then we are seeing a better Africa. We are seeing a change that will take place not just in Congo, but in Africa in general. If we care about Africa, yes, it's good to donate. Yes, it's good to send aid and stuff. But aid, we have seen the limit of aid. We have seen it. I'm not anti-aid, but I think it's better to teach me how to fish instead of giving me a fish. So aid is like you keep giving me a fish, but no, I want you to teach me how to fish. Teach me how to fish is support me for me to be able to have a justice I'm seeking, for me to be able to have a peaceful environment, for a mother in the eastern, southwest, and north of Congo be able to send a daughter in school without worrying if she's gonna be getting raped on the way back, for a mother to be able to know that my children at least will be able to eat instead of dying in hunger, like there is a hunger that going on in central part of Congo, Kasai. So it's really important for I'm really asking people to support Congolese, to teach Congolese how to fish, to keep giving Congolese fish. In this, is a sort of metaphor, which I will translate it again in terms of come and support Congolese in anything you can. Could be in education, it could be in justice, it could be anything. Lobby for Congo, for Congolese people. Speak for Congolese people. But instead of keeping, sending aid, because aid is not doing anything. We've been getting aid for years. Nothing has changed. The instability actually have growth more than it used to be. So it's really it's a global issue, and Congo is in the heart of Africa. And if you care about Africa, you need to say something about what's going on in Congo. If you care about climate change, you're going to have to say something about the Congo being a second biggest rainforest after the Amazon. You're going to have to say something about Congo. And if you care about Africa having electricity and all that, you need to say something about Congo, because the Congo need to have a responsible leadership, very a good, great institution, strong institution to be able to sign those deals that we have an Inga project that will light up entire Africa. And also people are dying in hunger. Why in Congo, Tanganyika, like Sylvestre mentioned that already, fish are born, growing, and dying. So because there is no fishery industry, better fishery industry that Congo can give a lot of food in Africa, but people are dying in Africa in hunger. There is a lot of hunger going on in Africa. So if we care about all that, all this can only happen if you have a stable country. If you have a stable country, and that stable country can only come if there is justice, if there is a punishment for crimes, if people start getting to know that if I do this, I'll be punished. And that will change a lot of things. But if we are ignoring Congo, it means we ignore just Congolese people and the issue of Congo, but we also kind of ignoring Africa, and we kind of promoting poverty in Congo and in Africa in general. So Congo is a very important country, one of the important countries in Africa. So supporting Congolese and come and speak out wherever you are. You never know you're speaking for another woman or another child on the street of Kinshasa who really needs someone to speak for him or for her. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Francine. It's been great. It's been a pleasure to have you guys here. Francine Mukwaya Sodi and Sylvestre Mido. I'm so grateful that, we've had this talk and you've, like Sly said, this is the beginning, we need to talk. We need to be raising awareness. And this is our time. We have the opportunity. We are in different parts of the world, but we are able to talk, but we see people or, leaders who are in neighboring countries or in the same village, in the same city, not able to talk. Why can't we, really have that? So I really appreciate, your time, and I thank you for all the knowledge you've shared with us. And I guess in conclusion as well, I would like to tell our audience that, there's no small action. There's no small action, there's no, everyone can do something. Everyone can do something in their own capacity. Get the knowledge, get the information, know what's happening in your neighborhood, know what's happening in Congo. And like Francine beautifully said, it is going to affect everyone. It's affecting all of us. It's affecting the whole world. Even if you think it's not affecting you in one word or the other, just think, put yourself in the Congolese shoes, What if it was your child? What if it was your neighbor, your friend, your family members who are suffering from what they are suffering from, who are dying? Let us bring the humanity back. Let us think of the other. What we don't want to happen to us, why are we silent when it's happening to others? So I really hope that everyone will be contaminated with our allergy, where we are allergic to injustices, we are allergic to people dying and people suffering, and we can all say something, can all do something as little as we think is. But we can have a start. We can start from somewhere. And, I really hope that the audience and everyone who's following us, you will learn from what you guys told us, what how you've started. I wish everyone would do something about what they know, because we know that people are aware, but they choose not to do anything about it. So I hope that everyone who's following us today will do some action. I will speak to their friends who are not aware, who will do something, as small as you think it is. And I really hope that justice will be, served, for the Congolese people and for the whole region, by the way, because as you all of you have said, the crimes that were committed in Congo or are still even being committed, and the genocide, it's not only the Congolese who died, there's Rwandese who died, and Burundians, and so many people who died. So justice has to be served, and that's our hope, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, and hopefully more people can speak out and justice can be served. So I thank you again, Francine and Sly, for being with us. And I thank you, Claude, for hosting this show with me. And I thank all the sponsors. If I can pass to you, Claude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Delphine. I just want to see, we've got Sly back, and wanted to just yield a little time to Sly in case Sai, you have any other messages for our global audience? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and also give my small remarks.
Oh, thank you, Claude. No, I don't. I think I pretty much say what I had to say today. I just want to thank you once again for this wonderful work you're doing and this wonderful platform you've created. And I hope that we can get more conversation like this going on. And next time, have some people from Burundi, have some people from Uganda. The Great Lake region really need to talk and take part in the solutions.
Well, thank you so much. And your wish is going to come to reality. We're going to make it happen. We do have, friends and colleagues from just all over the continent, Uganda, Kenya, various parts of Africa, Senegal, Benin, Togo, Southern Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and even in the diaspora, Haiti and a bunch of Caribbean islands, people as far down as Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad, all over, and all over the US. So whoever you want, we got them. And we'll make sure that we'll, continue to build this united front. Now, there are two things that happen here that I really love, in this broadcast. One is personal stories. The other thing that I really love is analogies. So I'm going to do both as I conclude. The analogy that I would like to use is the analogy of slavery. We talked about slavery. And then I'll actually close this off with, the slavery experience. So what is happening in the Congo today, what is happening in the world today in regards to the Congo is the same as what happened during the slave trade, when Africans were the resources, when we, the people, were the resources who were being taken from the continent and sold in the Americas. And during that trade, there was diplomatic and legal cover by international institutions. That's what's happening in the Congo. That's what we are pushing back against. There was laws that protected slavery. Was illegal. Trading slaves was legal trade, and enslaving human beings was legal. And that was on the law side of the things. There was commerce. People were being sold. Today, Congolese resources are being sold. Congolese people are made slaves. People in the region are being made, child soldiers and sexual slaves, children as young as 10, 12 years old. And slavery was just as horrible. Now, the other piece of slavery that happened during the slave trade of our ancestors is they were complicit Africans. The number one types are the ones who sold the other Africans into slavery. Those are the Kagames, it's the Kabilas, it's the Musevenis, it's all these dictators that we have who are selling out to the West and to outsiders and impoverishing and having millions of Africans killed. So that's my analogy. The second level are the ones who are aware, they know, or they have access to the knowledge and they keep quiet. Those are also complicit in this slave trade that we're talking about. So if somebody tells you that slavery was bad and it was wrong, but today they know about what's happening in the Congo and they stay silent. And when I say silence, I mean they say nothing publicly. That person is just as complicit because they should be speaking up. They should be doing something. And this is not just about the Congo. This is about injustice. Wherever you see an injustice and you don't speak up, you are complicit in the injustice. So that's the analogy. Now, the personal story. I have a friend that I grew up with. He's Congolese. His name is Espoir, which means hope in English. Espoir is a doctor, a highly skilled scientist. In 2010, Espoir went to Congo to see what he can do to help the development and prosperity in the Congo. He got caught up in an ambush. We had to run a campaign. I remember at the time, Brother Kambale Musavuli was very involved in that campaign in Friends of the Congo, one of our sponsors. And he was released and the project did not go forward. And why do I tell this story? Is because that is instability and impunity are the reasons why Congo stays stagnant, are the reasons why we still have all these conflicts. If you have no peace, you cannot prosper. In order to be prosper, in order for Congo to prosper, in order for the region to prosper, in order for Africa to prosper, because Africa is shaped like a gun, like a pistol. Congo is the trigger. In order for Congo to trigger Africa's prosperity, there has to be peace. In order for there to be peace, there has to be justice. In order for there to be justice, there has to be truth. That's why all these stories must be told. That's why perpetrators must be held accountable, whether they're Congolese, whether they're Rwandan, whether they're Burundian, whether they're Ugandan, whether they're from some other country, and whether they are from Western countries, America, the UK, France, whatever. Every perpetrator must be held accountable. Nobody should be complicit in this. And by the way, one of the things you can do, use your social media, speak up, make it public. Talking in circles is not what we're saying about speaking up. We mean speak publicly, because if you don't make it public, if people are not aware, they will not care. So now, I want to echo what Sly and Francine have said is, if people of consciousness must take a stand, speak up, take action, make sure that justice is achieved so that we can achieve peace in Congo, in the region, on the continent of Africa. And Congo has consequences on the whole globe, on the whole, on the world at large. As much as we might look the other way, we will not be able to look away at the consequences of what happens if we continue to destroy the Congo. Just ecologically, Congo is one of the most important parts of the world. And a disturbance into the Congo, which is what's happening with all these explosions and mining and, and all kinds of exploitation that's going on, is destroying the planet. And we cannot be complicit in it. Don't be complicit. There's one last thing I want to quote somebody that actually spoke in this broadcast. She was in the audience. Marie Bamutese said recently that you can also do injustice by doing nothing. And I want to just make a slight correction to that. You absolutely do injustice by remaining silent when you see an injustice. So do not be silent. And lastly, to end this, I want to just read a quote from our ancestor, a person who was enslaved in America. His name is Frederick Douglass. He's the one that actually inspired me into activism. And this is what he says, and this is what we must do. He said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which they will be imposed upon them. And these will continue until they are resisted with either words or blows or both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress." And for those who do not know Frederick Douglass, he was one of the important slavery abolitionists in his time. And I want to say thank you all for your contribution. Thank you all for heeding the words of Frederick Douglass. And thank you all in the audience for being with us, for sharing this with all of your network. And especially thank you to our sponsors, Friends of the Congo, Black Star News, African Great Lakes Action Network, or AGLAN, and the network where we have this broadcast, HMG. For those of you who are watching at home, thank you for bringing a neighbor to watch with you on TV. And for those who are watching on social media, thank you for sharing this. And I want to turn this over to my brother, Freeman Bikorwa Singirangabo of HMG Studio. Freeman.
Wow, Claude, thank you so much, my brother. You are a true lion, a son of Africa. Thank you so much, Francine, a true lioness, the queen, one of the queens of Africa. Thank you so much, Delphine. She's another queen who's always ready to fight. Last but not the least, thank you, Sylvestre. It's been, it was amazing. It was amazing, great conversation, great presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, repressive governments all over the world have no place in our lives today. The Great Lakes region of Africa governments are no exception to the rule. Today we see atrocities, mass graves. You see what's happening in the Congo as an example. Millions of people, millions of lives, sons and daughters just like you are dying every single day. And not one single government is speaking up because of different interests. So it is up to us, you, kings and queens, sons and daughters of Africa and all over the world, to push against these mass atrocities. We have a duty as a citizen of this planet called Earth to uphold justice anywhere. As some of our ancestors usually say, injustice anywhere. If we don't have any justice anywhere, we cannot coexist. Whether being in a third world country, whether being in a big place like the Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Central Africa, any one of these countries ravaged by war, mass atrocities and rapes, we just cannot stand by and do nothing. So today I am asking you to raise your voices and speak up against the voiceless. It is a duty that we have to our own people. We must regain our own humanity and restore the leadership that represents us as a people and the great interests of the people. So I am so grateful today that we were able to host you today, to bring you this amazing presentation, amazing conversation from our brothers and sisters. And I want to invite you, all your sons and daughters all over. Media, as Francine has said, is one of these greatest tools that we have today that can help us speak our own stories. Speak what's happening with you, with your family, with your community, and with your country. Do not stay muted while you're being raped in your house. Don't stay muted while your region is being mutilated. We have a duty, and we must keep on going. I can promise you, one way or the other, we will finish this fight. We will go home happy, and we will restore a leadership that represents all of our people. So I am so grateful, and we hope that this program has been informative and education to you. And we ask that you do share this program with your friends and loved ones. And until next time we speak, I am Francine with HMG Studio. Goodbye for now.